Dear students, now I am Dr. Kshirsagar, Department of Genetics and Plant Breeding, College of Agriculture, Baramati. In last lecture, we are discussing the transpiration, meaning of transpiration, how to work the stomata, its type, and significance of transpiration. In today's lecture, we are discussing the remaining part of the transpiration. Means in which lecture we are discussing the mechanism of transpiration, factors affecting the transpiration and different theories of transpiration. Now we are discussing the mechanism of transpiration, means how to transpiration is occur in a leaf portion. The mechanism of stomatal transpiration which take place during the daytime can be studied in a 3 step. First step is the osmotic diffusion of water in the leaf from xylem to intercellular spaces above the stomata through the mesophyll cells. And second one is the opening and closing of stomata, in which the stomata movement are observed. Third one is the simple diffusion of water vapor from intercellular spaces to other atmosphere through the stomata. In last lecture, we are see all the terms of intercellular spaces, then mesophyll cells and stomata. These different structures we are seen in a last presentation. Then microscopic examination of open and closed stomata revealed that the open stomata have a turgid guard cells, while closed the stomata have flaccid guard cells. It was concluded therefore that the opening and closing of stomata depends upon the changes in the turgidity of their guard cells. That is, when the guard cells are turgid, pores are open, but when the flaccids, the pores are closed. Then the inside the leaf, the mesophyll cells are in contact with xylem, and on the other hand with the intercellular spaces above the stomata. When mesophyll cells draw a water from the xylem, they become a turgid and their diffusion pressure depreciate and osmotic pressure decrease. As a result, they release the water in the form of vapor in a intercellular spaces close to stomata by the osmotic diffusion. Now in a turns, the osmotic pressure and diffusion pressure depreciate of a mesophyll cells become higher, and hence they draw a water from the xylem by osmotic diffusion. When a turgidity increases, the outer thin wall of the guard cells stretch outward, causing the outward stretching of their inner walls. The inner wall, being inelastic, becomes a concave, and as a result the space surrounding the pores widens and the pores open. Thus in the opening and closing of stomata, turgor mechanisms is involved. How this changes in turgidity in a guard cells is brought about has remained a question of great controversies. And that's why the many theories have been proposed to explain the mechanism of transpiration. Then now we are discussing the opening and closing of stomata or the stomatal movement. The consequent to an increase in the osmotic pressure and diffusion pressure depreciate of the guard cells, which is due to the accumulation of osmotically active substances. Osmotic diffusion of water from the surrounding epidermal cells and mesophyll cells into the guard cells follows. And this increases the turgor pressure of the guard cells and they become a turgid. The guard cells swell, increase in a length and their adjacent thicken surfaces starch forming a pore and thus the stomata open. When osmotic pressure and deficit of the guard cells decrease due to the depletion of osmotically active substances relative to surrounding the epidermal and mesophyll cells, water is released back into the latter by a osmotic diffusion and guard cells become flacids. The thickened surface of the guard cells come close to each other and thereby the closing the stomatal pore and stomata. Then mechanism of stomata opening and closing, the different theories have been proposed to explain the mechanism of stomata. First theory is the theory of photosynthesis in a guard cells. Second theory is the theory of starch-sugar interconvention. Third one is the theory of glycolate metabolism. And fourth one is the active potassium transport ion concept. Then we will see one by one. First one is the theory of photosynthesis. Von Mohl in the year 1856 observed that the stomata open in a light and close in a night. Then we see in a presentation, first one is a light. He then proposed that in the presence of light, the photosynthesis occur in the guard cells and produce the carbohydrates, due to which osmotic pressure of the guard cells increases. And the following sequence explain the mechanism of the stomatal opening. The light gives the photosynthesis by the guard cells. Then in the process of photosynthesis you get the formation of sugar. After that, increase in the osmotic pressure. After producing the sugar, the osmotic pressure increases in a cell sap. After that, endosmosis is occur, means to entrance of water from the neighboring epidermal cells. And finally, increase in the turgidity of the guard cells and stomata are open. Increase the turgidity means your cells are swollen and your stomata are open. Okay. Then this theory was not accepted just because for sufficient accumulation of sugar to bring about the endosmosis and turgidity. The rate of photosynthesis by the guard cells is too slow, and moreover, it has also been observed that the chloroplasts of the guard cells are either totally incapable or can carry on insufficient photosynthesis. Then next, second theory is the starch-sugar interconversion theory. According to Lloyd, in the year 1908, turgidity of a guard cells depends on the interconvention of the starch and sugar. It was supported by Loffield in the year 1921. He found that guard cells contains the sugar during the daytime when they are open and starch during the night when they are closed. Then several workers such as the Yin and Tung in the year 1948 and Stibarts criticized this theory and proposed that the conversion of a starch into the sugar is always insufficient to increase the osmotic pressure enough to cause the turgidity in a guard cells, that is to say, the conversion of a starch into the sugar will not be much effective in increasing the sufficient osmotic pressure. Then third one is third theory is the theory of glycolate metabolism. Then Zillite in the year 1963 proposed that the production of glycolic acid in the guard cells is an important factor in a stomata opening. Glycolate is produced under the low concentration of CO2. He suggested that glycolate gives rise to carbohydrate, thus raising the osmotic pressure, and also that it could participate in the production of ATP, which might provide the energy required for the opening of stomata. Glycolate is produced under the low concentration of CO2. He suggested that the glycolate give rise to carbohydrates and thus the rising the osmotic pressure, and also that it could be participate in the production of ATP, and which might provide the energy required for the opening of the stomata. And the process may be summarized as NADP plus ADP plus Pi plus H2O, it gives NADPH plus H plus ATP plus half O2. The whole process refers to formation of ATP through the glycoxylate shuttle, which helps in the reoxidation of NADPH. Zillite believes that ATP produced by this mechanism participate in the active pumping of water into the guard cells. Then next one is the theory of the active potassium transport or the potassium pump theory and role of abscisic acids. The concept of potassium ion transport was given by Fizino. It was supported and elaborated by the Levitt and Raskay in the year 1975. It appears to be an active mechanism which needs ATP. The Levitt in the year 1974 proposed the proton transport concept to explain the mechanism of opening and closing of stomata. According to this theory, potassium ion have been found to play a critical role. The opening and closing of the stomata are the result of an active transport of potassium ion into the guard cells and out of them. The adjacent epidermal cell act as an ion storage cells for the guard cells. The uptake of potassium ion is balanced by uptake of chloride, transport of hydrogen released from the organic acids, and by a negative charges of organic acid when they lose the H plus ions. Most of the anions which balance the potassium ion are those of organic acid, especially the malic acid. The organic acid provides the hydrogen in exchange for potassium ions, and anions to balance the charges of potassium ions. The synthesis of malic acid in illuminated guard cells accompanies the influx of potassium ions. The closure mechanism involves the participation of an inhibitory hormone, abscisic acid, which functions in presence of CO2. In a dark, abscisic acid inhibits the potassium ion uptake by changing the diffusion and permeability of guard cells. The potassium ion moves out to the subsidiary cells. Abscisic acid then induces the process of acidification in a guard cells which results in lowering of pH. At a low pH, starch is synthesized and thus osmotic pressure of a guard cells falls and water moves out of a guard cells to subsidiary cells. Guard cells then become a flaccid and stomata pore is thus closed. Then guard cells properties and their relationship with stomata control. Now we are discussing this concept. The thickness of a cell wall varies in the ventral and dorsal part of the guard cells. Contains of chloroplast and can perform a light reaction, not a dark reaction for the lack of key enzymes. Structurally isolated from epidermal cells for the lack of plasmodesmata, water and iron transmit only through the cellular pathway, thus helps to build up water guardians. Then little volume, little amount of water absorbed or the loss controls the stomata apparatus. Then in which slide we see the mechanism of stomatal opening means to potassium ion absorption theory. H plus ions ATPase as a PM is a light activated. Its function is outpumping the hydrogen ions. Inverts rectifiers potassium channel is a voltage dependent. PM hydro hyperpolarizations activities the channels and carries the potassium inwards. Calcium is transported through the calcium or hydrogen ions symport or the calcium or hydroxide antipodes. Then when the stomata is opening, the potassium ion rise to 0.5%, 0.5 mole and anions rises to 0.2 to 0.5 mole. The osmotic potential drops 2 mole pascals, thus the bring water in. Then stomata are closed. The guard cells are swell and stomata are open. These the guard cells are closed, then the stomata are closed. Then guard cells are swell or turgid, the stomata are closed and stomata is become a turgid or shrink, the stomata is open, the guard cells is a go limp or again a turgid, flaccid, then your stomata are closed. If you were an aquatic plant, where would your stomata be? In you see in a lilium plants, the stomata are present on upper part of the leaf portion. Stomata are found only on upper epidermis because the lower epidermis is submerged in water. If the stomata were to be on the underside, and they would be able to perform their functions, that is to allow water to evaporate and thus contribute to the transpiration. Then next point is the guttation. Guttation means what? The guttation is the exudation of a drop of the xylem sap on a tip or the edges of leaves of some vascular plants such as the grasses and a number of fungus. You see the small droplets. This is not a dew. This one is the guttation process. Guttation is not to be confused with dew, which is condensed from the atmosphere onto plant surface. Bergerstein proposed this term for the exudation of water from the plant in the form of liquid. The amount of water lost by this process is negligible as compared to that the loss of by the transpiration. Guttation is not being universally observed. Guttation is observed frequently during the warm, humid night, but normally it occurs maximum during the day and minimum during the night. The plant showing the guttation shows the presence of specialized structures called as hydrathodes on the tip of the margin of the leaves. That is why the droplets are seen deposited on margin and tip of the leaves of some grasses and dicotyledons. Then antitranspiration. What is the antitranspiration? Antitranspiration are the compounds applied to the leaves of the plants to reduce the transpiration. This is called as antitranspiration. They are used on Christmas tree, on a cut flowers, on a newly transplanted shrubs and in other applications to preserve and protect the plants from the drying out too quickly. They have also been used to protect leaves from the salt burn and the fungal diseases. This is the transparent treatment plants, and this is the normal or the regular plant. You see the difference between the two pictures, how it's look and how it's work. Then factors that influence the transpiration means the factors affecting the transpiration. First one factor is the external factor and second one is the internal factor. In external factors, some factors are affecting like light, temperature, humidity, winds, etc. In internal factors, like a number of stomata are present on the leaves or the number of leaves present on the plants, and third one is the presence of cuticle on the leaves and the plant architecture. These are the some factors affecting the transpiration. One by one we are discussing these factors. First, the internal factors affecting on the transpiration. First one is the number of leaves. More leaves means a bigger surface area and more stomata for the gaseous exchanges. This will result in greater water losses. Means you not require the more leaf surfaces or the bigger leaf surfaces. Small tiny leaves not gives the more transpiration. Second one is the number of stomata. More stomata will provides more pores for the transpiration. This is also the factors influencing the transpiration. Then size of leaves. A leaf with a bigger surface area will transpire faster than a leaf with a smaller surface area. Presence of plant cuticles. A waxy cuticle is a relatively impermeable to water and water vapor and reduces the evaporation from the plant surface except via the stomata. Then external factors like temperature. Temperature is a transpiration rate go up as the temperature goes up, especially during the growing season related to open and close the stomata. Means the temperature increase the rate of transpiration. Means the temperature is increases, the rate of transpiration is also increases. It is the directly proportional reaction. Temperature increases, transpiration also increases. Also it affects the rate of depends upon the rate of open and close of stomata. Then second one is the relative humidity. As the relative humidity of the air surrounding the plant rises, the transpiration rate falls. Means humidity is more, the rate of transpiration is low. It is easier for water to evaporate into the drier air than into the more saturated air. Then third one is the wind and air movement. Increase the movement of the air around the plant will result in a higher transpiration rate. And this is the somewhat related to the relative humidity of the air. Soil moisture availability. When the moisture is lacking, plants can begin to senescence, premature aging, which can result in a leaf losses and transpire the less water. Type of plants. Plants transpire water at a different rate. Some plants which grow in arid regions such as a cacti and a succulent conserves the precious water by the transpiring less water than the other plants. Thank you so much everyone for listening this lecture.